So we'll see what they're talking about. Well, maybe, hopefully, after this, you'll say, you know what, I could do that. But before we get started, let's just have a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this church. We thank you for the opportunity to be, in your words, a lampstand amidst the darkness of this area. Lord, we know that the light burning is your word for us, your word of law, your word of gospel. And Lord, we want to shine brightly, not only in word, but also in love as well. And so, Lord, just bless this class and bless our church, Lord, as we seek to love our fellow members of this family and also love on those who come to us for the very first time. And so to that end, Lord, bless this class, bless all that we talk about. May it be all acceptable and pleasing to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, the first thing that I want to address here is this sheet that looks like this. It's got a set of concentric circles there. We have an outreach committee here at St. John's. There are a few people I see here that are actually on that outreach committee here today. But as an outreach committee, we've been praying about and talking about for quite some time, what does that look like to not only support those missions that are on the other side of the world, but also to support the missions that are right here in our backyard. And so to that end, what we kind of came up with was from Acts chapter 1, verse 8, it says, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." Now, when Jesus, the resurrected Jesus, said this to his disciples, he was telling them, you're going to be my witnesses right where you are, and then a little bit farther out, and a little bit farther out, and you're going to be my witnesses even on the other side of the world. That's what he was saying. That's what Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth are saying. And so we talked about that and said we want our missions here at St. John's to reflect that same thing. The first and most important mission that you and I have is our mission right here. Because there's a reason that God put us right here, right? In Buffalo, Minnesota. He put us to be a lampstand right here amongst the people. And so we thought we want the majority of our time and our effort and our money to go toward reaching the people right here in our community. Because that's our number one priority. And then secondly, we want to be able to reach out to maybe those missions that aren't right here in the community, but we have an intimate connection with. That's what would be our Judea. And then Samaria would be like the next concentric circle out. We want to give our third most effort and money and everything else toward those things that we have a connection with, but maybe it's not a close connection. And then finally, the fourth area that we want to support are those things that maybe we don't really have too much of a connection to, but the Lord put them in our life for a small amount of time to maybe give a one-time gift or to help out in a one-time way. So does that make sense? So we're kind of changing the way that we do things here at St. John's so that the major focus, the number one focus is our Jerusalem. The missions that we have right here. And to that end, we first of all have to be very intentional about reaching out to those people that actually we don't even have to go out and get. They're actually coming to us. And the two places that people come to us for is number one, our preschool. Have you ever thought about that? We actually have people that are paying to come into this building. as opposed to going house to house, trying to reach our neighbors, and a lot of times doing that in vain, like they may never come. We actually have people that are paying to come into our building. And so that has to be our big focus, is to reach out to the preschool families, because God is the one that has brought them to us. And then the second area is Saturday and Sunday worship. There are people that will come through those double doors, or those double doors, or those double doors, and they'll come here for the very first time. Now, who knows, why they came, or maybe they hadn't been to church for 10 years or 20 years, or maybe they had a bad experience with a church family, and they thought, I should get back to church. And so they're coming in. And the first people that they're going to see are our greeters, our ushers, and our welcome center. And they're probably, and I've actually read some quotes on this, that most people make a decision if they're ever going to come back to that church or not way before the church service even starts. Way before the sermon, way before they hear the good music, they make a decision if they're ever going to come back based upon the first people that they recognize. And that's how important that job of greeting and ushering and that welcome center is. We want to make sure that we're giving them a great first impression. We kind of want to get out of God's way so that He can reach them inside the sanctuary, reach them with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And all that we can do is kind of flub it up, right? We can kind of mess it up by either not greeting them warmly, or ignoring them, or if they come in late, making fun of them, right? There's all kinds of ways. I remember when we were out in New York, there was a lady that had started coming very regularly, and it was so great. I had met her in town. I had started up a conversation with her. She had really been hurt by a church years ago, but she made the effort to come, and she really loved it, and she was coming every week. And all of a sudden, I realized it had been like 3 or 4 weeks since I had seen her. And I thought, I wonder why she quit coming. And so I found her around town, and I asked her, I said, you were really faithful in coming. How come you quit coming? And she says, well, I don't want to make anyone feel bad. And I said, no, tell me. Was it something I said? And she said, well, Pastor, that I don't have really nice clothes. And the one day I came in, one of the greeters said to me, don't you have anything nicer to wear than that? Now that's New Yorkers, right? But that being said, she made a decision if she was going to come back based upon what was said to her. And we certainly don't want to do any of that. And so what this whole training is about here today is just to make sure that we're all on the same page, we're all working together, because these are 3 very important ministries: greeters, ushers, and welcome center. So we're going to talk about those more here in a little bit, but there are a few things that whether you serve on greeters, ushers, or welcome center, all of us need to know. And to that end, I'm going to turn the floor over to this young lady right here.
Ta-da-ta. All right. Whoa, now I'm really on. I had the privilege, I don't know if that's the way I'm going to say it, of making this video. I'm going to show you. When you look at yourself later on, you're like, oh, that's what I look like. So I'm going to let that do a little bit of the heavy lifting for me a little bit, and then I'm going to fill in some of the gaps. I'm going to show you some things that hopefully from the perspective of someone coming in, their fresh eyes. We value that so much. When you are a new person and you get involved, there's something that you can bring to the table. And so anytime you can give us feedback, we love that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna have them play this video. I did not read any of it off of things, so I was memorizing it. So I have a blank look on my face. It's because I'm trying to remember all of it. And then I'll fill in the gaps after that. So you might have to I don't know if the lights will turn on or not. Or, yeah. Oh, there I go. Ooh.
No matter if you are an usher. Hi, St. John's families. We want to thank you for serving in big or small ways here at St. John's. No matter if you are an usher, a greeter, or helping in our nursery, there's some things that you need to know that will help you help others. So here are some things that we want to point out. Starting in our narthex, if there's an emergency and you need to call 911, you're welcome to call on your own cell phone, but we do have a phone located in the narthex. You'll also find where our address is and which door to go to. Every door in our building has a number attached to it. Both inside and outside they are labeled. So make sure you share what door is best for those emergency services to come to. Door 2 tends to work the best in the narthex. You'll also be looking for things like an AED machine in case of emergency. We have 2 in our building, one located by Noah's Ark Preschool and one upstairs by our nursery. If you are not familiar on how to use an AED machine, don't worry. It will walk you through all the steps you need in case of that emergency. But knowing where it is half the battle. So make sure you check all those things out when you come and serve the first time. The last thing you need to know in our narthex is that we have a first aid kit for those big or small little scrapes. They are located in the narthex along the coat rack. So make sure you check it out. Be familiar with what you're going to do, where you're going to serve, and how you can help others. No matter if they're our oldest visitors and members to our littlest friends that visit us here at St. John's, we want to make sure that everyone feels welcome. So there are some things located in our narthex and in our church that are intended to do just that. When you come with little kids, sometimes you need something to keep them a little busy in church. And if you're an usher and you see a family that maybe isn't familiar with our congregation or our narthex, this is a great place to point them in. Behind me are our little Lutheran bags that are meant really for all ages. There's coloring sheets, coloring books, there's books to look at, and different gizmos and gadgets that they can play with. Feel free to encourage them to use them, and then they can return them right back. For friends that might be sensory sensitive, maybe things might be a little loud for them with the organ, or maybe they have a hard time seeing or just sitting still, we have what we call our sensory bags. There are some for children and there is one for adults. So whether they need something to just keep them calm or help them experience worship in a different way, we encourage you to make sure that these are available to families. These are located behind our Welcome Center. Inside are all sorts of things. You're welcome to go check them out before you share them with someone. The other thing you need to know is that we have people of all ages visit our congregation. So that means that they might need different ways to get into our building through our handicap accessible doors, but also they might need a wheelchair, a walker, to help them get to worship. So walkers and wheelchairs are located at both of our main doors outside our Family Life Center and then also in our narthex. They're available for anybody to use. So be sure to check out where those things are so that you can be even more helpful. Finally, we have bathrooms. We have lots of bathrooms, but every bathroom comes equipped with a place for little ones to be changed. So little or big, everyone's got to use them, but we want to make sure that everyone has what they need. So if you're looking for a bathroom, there are some located in the narthex. There's some that are specific to children in our nursery, and there's some in our Family Life Center. Make sure that you, again, are familiar with where all these things are. Get to know your space, and so that you can be the best helper that you can be.
Okay, so a lot of that you probably know, and some of this you don't know or you didn't remember where they were. So that was really just to kind of give you an update on some of those things. But I want to point out a couple things that you might not know. First and foremost, the biggest thing out of that I hope you get is to come a little early. When you are familiar with a space, sometimes we've been here forever. I know with my church, all those things, right? But things change, and your perspective, that how you look through things when people come in the door, is a little different than someone that's been here, 20, 30 years, right? They know where to go. Well, not everybody does. So we want to make sure that we're not making assumptions and that we're as helpful as possible. Those sensory bags, I've had a lot of families that we have a lot of kids with special needs in our congregation, whether you've noticed that or not. It's a spectrum. So they are helpful to that, but I would encourage you to be familiar with them. Inside, you'll find things like a weighted pillow that they can put on their lap. There's even some under the welcome desk. There's like these blue discs. They are not for your exercise convenience. They are meant so that they can sit on them, and they have like a tactile kind of feeling to them. So if they get a little antsy in their seats, sometimes that helps with those things. If you ever know of somebody that you use something when you come to worship, please share it with me, because the more we can help people be a part of worship, sometimes just getting here is half the battle. Couple things I wanted to mention. When you come in the doors, we talked about, when we greet people in the morning, sometimes we go for the adult and we miss the kid, right? So my encouragement is to not just hand them a coloring sheet and talk with the adult, but to even greet them on their level, right? To let them know that we see that they're here and they're welcome also. Another thing I'll keep mention of is our building is very big on a Sunday, and we've got some great helpers that show up early and make sure things are happening. Don't hesitate to turn lights on. Sunday is the day that we want to make it all happen, right? And if you're a kid walking into a room that's dark, it's scary. And a door is heavy, so if we want our doors to be open, our lights to be turned on, this is what it's all about, right, on that day. You may or may not have seen these. This one has lived a better life. But all the things I just told you are on this yellow sheet. So we try to remember up here to remind people that this is a possibility. We try not to be in the case of, hey, your child's really loud, can you get them out of here? Instead, letting them know there are options. Like, as a parent, you already feel that weight. You know that your child is loud, and sometimes they themselves are new to church, and their kids are not in the habit of it. You'll see it on the days that I do children's messages, and this becomes a jungle gym instead of just sitting, because they're not in the habit of coming to church, right? We don't, again, want to be too poignant where we're like, oh, you had a rough morning this morning. They know. A lot of times it's just getting in here is the biggest battle. And they themselves may not have gotten a lot out of the message, but we want to encourage that habit of bringing them to church, leading by example, all those things. This sheet is meant to be intentionally helping with that. So everything I've kind of just said is on here. If you've never looked at this, again, it's all on there. The Lutheran bags, where our nursery is. We have, if you didn't know, a nursing room that parents can go in and nurse their babies straight on in. It's the backside of our nursery, so parents have some privacy. Oftentimes when you have a baptism, that's a great time to suggest some of those things, let them know. Again, places they can view worship, there's a TV that pipes it in the nursery, there's one out here. And then obviously all the bathrooms, the sensory bags are listed on here. But again, this is something that you might have saw in your pew, but you never really paid attention to it. And it might also be something that you can, if you see somebody new, be like, hey, did you know, I wanted to share this with you. Okay? Trying to think if there's anything else I missed, Catherine. We talked a lot about all that stuff. I talked about lights. I talked about greeting. Oh, yes. We didn't talk about the elevator in there, did we? Yes. I really push when I can see it, kids not to use the elevator. I'm like, your legs work, leave it for somebody else. I will apologize that sometimes I shove things in the elevator because I'm multitasking and I forget in there. So please call me out on that. But the elevator is located this way. So if you see somebody using a wheelchair, but they want to participate in Bible study or things like that, we might not use it, but letting them know that it's an option. Sometimes that's just half the battle, is giving them the options that they have. They'll make their choices themselves, but feeling like they are free to do that. I feel like there was something else, but it's kind of red. Catherine, was there anything else? Yes. So we want to, obviously, again, when we're familiar, we know to drive up that way, right? And that's where the handicap parking is and those kind of things. But if you see somebody that's trying to get up the stairs, letting them know they have an option that they don't have to use any stairs on that side. I think that was it for my spiel. Are there any questions about any of that? I know it's a lot. Yes. Yeah. There's a tag. So on them, there's a tag that says adult. But if a kid wants to use it, they can totally use it. Vice versa. It's just instead of a puppy pillow that lays on their leg, it'll be like just a basic weighted blanket pillow thing. So it's just a little more like, yes, Tanya? There's headphones in there. There's a weighted thing. There's some fidgety things. Yes. Yes, correct. So, all right. Any other questions? Eye contact. Yes. Yep, definitely. Yes, because it lets them know that you're really engaged in what they're saying and things. You don't have to hit anything, but just pick it up and call. Yes, and so we put that sheet out there because sometimes you're like, wait, what's the church's address? Or what they want to know what door you're located at, and all those kind of things. And when you're in a flustered situation, sometimes that all goes out the window. So that's why we wanted to post it back there. Oftentimes we're going to grab our regular cell phones, right? But we know that this happens in our building, and we are so lucky to have the police department right down the street. But and again, those AED machines, those are things to be aware of. I pray that we never have to use them. God, is that you? But they literally walk you through everything. We have some amazing people in our congregation that are nurses and that can help out too. But sometimes half the battle is just knowing. Because when you go into panic mode, either you're going to be able to remember all the things or you will remember nothing. So that's why we wanted just to give you a refresher. All right. So I think that's it. Yeah. Yes?
I was going to say, this is kind of funny because my husband is a recovering alcoholic. He has told people. But in their program, they always said, don't leave anybody standing. When somebody comes in to a meeting, somebody go to them right away and meet them. And in our church, we should do that too. When somebody comes in, don't leave anybody standing out there alone and nobody talking to them. We should go and approach them. And so many times people think, well, I don't know how to do that, or maybe that's the usher's job or reader's. All of us should be doing that with people. And I talked to Pastor one time because I approached somebody one time and I said, well, I hadn't seen him before, and I said, are you new? No, we've been coming for 15 years. And I really apologized and felt embarrassed and stuff. And Pastor said, when you go and approach somebody, just say, hello, I don't believe I've met you. My name is Diana Ashwell, and you're? It's one way to approach people without, embarrassing yourself and making them feel welcome. Because we want to, approach everybody, no matter who they are. If they aren't dressed well, if they've got jeans on, or if they've got diamonds on, it doesn't make any difference. Or a cowboy. We should appreciate them all and make them feel welcome.
I always told the confirmants when we would do like greeting and things like that, I'd always told them like, I want you to leave here and feel like it's cheers. Because everybody wants to feel like they were seen, right? No, I don't care if you're a kid or an adult. Everyone wants to know that someone saw them and acknowledged them. So you want to walk in and everybody's like, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. And don't feel like because you are an adult that you cannot, those teenagers or those confirmands that are nervously trying to carry the cross up, an encouragement is huge. And telling them afterwards, thanks so much for doing that today. That really goes a long way. They may never show it in their face, but it does. And it gives them the confidence to try it again. Because that's what we're doing. We're planting the seeds so that it's not just an adult thing. It's a congregation-wide of serving. So,
like Diana said, that question is a really great question. When people are coming in, we basically have three church families here, right? We have the Saturday night, the Sunday at 8, and the Sunday at 10:30. And so someone, because of their schedule, may be a regular 8 o'clock, but they came this week on 10:30. They may have been here for 30 years. And so, but you may not have ever met them because you always went to a different service. And so a great question is, just like Diana said, I don't believe we've met. And then they're either going to say, well, I normally go to the other service, or they're going to say, well, this is our first time. And at that point, if you're a greeter or an usher, you can say, oh, thank you so much for coming. You can stop by the Welcome Center over here. We've got a couple of things that we'd love to give you as a token of our appreciation for being here, right? And just like Diana said, you just kind of pass them on to the next person, and hopefully by the time they leave here, they have been sufficiently loved. You know, not sufficiently loved with a big hug. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. But one of the things I hear over and over again from people that come back to the church after coming for the first time is a lot of people say the reason that they came back was because of how loving the congregation is. It's humbling for Pastor Ryan and I. They never talk about the message. It's always about how loving the congregation is, because that's what everybody's looking for. They're looking for a loving congregation that is willing to receive them and not be some clique that doesn't receive new members. Yes?
You know, and the people that have never gone to another church maybe don't get to see the other side of it. When we
Yeah.
used to go to church in Arizona, we would be greeted at the door, the pastor would say something, and that was it.
Yeah.
We would go in, and there was one couple that we would sit behind because they recognized us. They were actually from Burnsville. So we would talk to them, but nobody else in that congregation would offer anything. And it was still, even with all that upfront stuff,
Yeah.
we still felt kind of
Yeah.
alone. So I like how when you bring up about, we all, everybody in the congregation really got to be greeters.
Yep.
To make sure that people know that they're
Yeah.
not alone.
One of the things that, thank you, Bill, and one of the things that we talk about as an outreach committee is there has to be some people whose eyes are not just on their friends in the congregation, but whose eyes are looking for anybody that may look alone or there for the very first time. And to a certain point, that has to be all of us, right? We all love coming to church and getting a chance to see our friends and spend time with them, and there definitely is a time and a place for that. But at some point, I can just ask all of you guys and gals to, like every Sunday morning or every Saturday night, just look around and just look at the room. Is anybody walking by themselves? Does anyone look like they don't know where they're going? Be one to just go up there and say, "Hi, I'm Ryan. I don't believe we've met." And they may have a question for you, or they may not. But what do they feel like they've been loved on? They feel like they're not invisible. Because who knows why they're there? They could have had a death in the family, and it reminded them, hey, I'm going to die too. I better go to church, right? Or who knows? But like Kelly said, sometimes the hardest thing, especially with people with small kids, is just getting to church. Like, it may have been total chaos that whole morning. And it was all that they could do to get to church, even though it's 15 minutes late. And when they come in and a greeter or an usher kind of says, well, you're a little late, huh? They probably want to wring your neck. Because it's everything that they could do. They're trying with all their heart to get here. So don't poke fun at them. Don't say, well, a little late here. It may have been a really bad morning. Just say, good morning. Great to have you. Yes.
Parents and kids, and that is that focus in on the kids if you can, because I found out while I was working that I took to the grapevine that way, that there were a couple of kids that didn't want to come, that not necessarily to church, but just to go shopping, because they would talk to us. So these I focused in on hi parents and
Yeah. And it's nice sometimes to kind of get down on their level too and just say good morning and to shake their hand. Yeah. Yes.
I was going to say, I used to be in charge of greeters for all the services, and I loved it, just loved it, because I got to know so many people in the congregation all the time. But I used to tell them, this is one way to serve God. It's a little, just a few hours to come and greet people, and there's every job in church is important, whether you're an usher or an elder, or every job is important in serving God, and this is just one way just to get started.
Yep.
But they're all important.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Thank you. We, last year, we made a funny video that, and we were planning on making them for Welcome Center and ushers and greeters. We underestimated how long it would take for us to make one of these videos. And so we just made one for the greeters, but there are things in it that are applicable for all of us. And so we're going to show that here right now.
Greetings, St. John's greeters. Thank you so much for agreeing to serve in this vital and most important ministry at St. John's. As a greeter, you're the first person our guests and our members get to see on a Sunday morning, and therefore you're one of our most important. We made a short and funny video for you to try to help you to see some of the things that we thought would be useful in thinking about greeter ministry. Hope you enjoy.
Unlike Paul, please arrive 20 minutes before the service you're going to serve at.
Get out of the way! I gotta greet the people!
When you get here, preferably a little earlier than this, grab a lanyard and put it on so you're ready to greet our guests.
Good morning! Welcome to St. John's! Good morning! Welcome to St. John's! We're good.
Most every week we have first-time visitors, and because you're the first person they meet, their first impression of St. John's will be based on your greeting. Let's check in with Paul and see how he's doing. Freeze! While you're greeting, let's keep distractions put away and be ready to greet our visitors. Let's try that again. Rewind.
Good morning, welcome to St. John's. Good morning, welcome to St. John's. We're so glad you're here.
Remember, we all have a bad day, but when you're here to greet, try to put it in the Lord's hands and put a big smile on your face.
Good morning, welcome to St. John's. Good morning, so glad you're with us today.
One of the great things about St. John's is how much we love each other and love fellowshipping together.
Her cousins over Jefferson in the first round.
While you're greeting, let's try to limit the side conversations, though.
Good morning, welcome to St. John's. Good to see you.
Another thing about Christians is that we're loving people. We're thankful for God's forgiveness and love, and we want to share it.
Oh, good morning, Beth. So glad you could join.
Freeze! But let's do that with just a handshake. Let's respect people's personal space and be sure they feel comfortable. We want to greet people as they come and also as they go. People are leaving, but where's our greeter? To avoid getting caught in the receiving line after church, scoot out during the final hymn and take your place so you can greet people as they're leaving. This has been a funny video and we hope you're enjoying it. But I want to remind you that when people come to church, they come with a lot of different things on their mind. Most are going through some kind of difficulty or have questions. Since my husband died, I'm so lonely. Somebody suggested attending church. Will I find friends here? That diagnosis rocked my world. I never thought I would be thinking about these things at my age. can't believe I'm doing this. I've never been to church before. What are people going to think of me? Will there be anybody my age? Are they going to make me stand up and introduce myself? As greeters, we want to provide a safe and welcoming place where people can meet with and worship God. We don't want to be a distraction as they're coming into worship. So thank you so much for being a part of this vital ministry and serving on Jesus' front line. God bless your ministry.
We're going to break off here in just a minute. Those that are going to be serving on the usher ministry will stay in here toward the front of the church. Those that are going to be serving on the Welcome Center ministry will meet back there by the Welcome Center. And those that are going to be greeting will be right outside door number 1. Catherine's going to be meeting with you out there. Just one last thing before we break up. We see all 3 of these ministries, ushers, greeters, and Welcome Center, as a team, a welcoming team. And so we see that they're all complementary of one another. And so we're asking that the greeters greet by the doors, the ushers greet right by the second set of double doors right before you come into the sanctuary. And then the Welcome Center person, if you could stay behind the Welcome Center. And so otherwise, we get in each other's way and that kind of thing. So on nice days, the greeters can actually go outside the double doors and open the door for somebody to come in. And that's a really nice thing. And then they come in and the ushers are standing there by the doors, by the inner doors. And then, like I said, if somebody says, this is our first time, great. Show them where the Welcome Center is. And in fact, if there are multiple greeters, you may even want to walk them to the Welcome Center to pick up the thing that they're going to receive there. Any comments on any of that? Yes?
Greeters don't have to hand out bulletins.
Thank you. Yep, greeters don't have to hand out bulletins. You have a different job. Greeters are just there to say good morning or give a handshake if they extend their hand. It's the usher's job to hand out the bulletins and any other handouts for the day. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is the right place to bring it up, but I'll bring it up anyway.
Sure.
Regarding the Connect cards.
Yeah.
I think there are times when people are afraid to put their name on a card because they think that somebody's going to come after them. But I think it would be great if you guys, when you say about the Connect card, that, because so many times you say, well, if you have a prayer request or whatever, I think there are people that think that if I don't have a prayer request, I don't start it up. The problem is that Beth now has to try to figure out, were you there on that Sunday or not? So this way, if you let people know that the Connect card is more than just prayer requests, it's so that we know that you're here. And, that's it.
Thank you, Bill. And to that end, yes, please fill out those Connect cards. It's I had an unfortunate conversation last night before church. Somebody came up to me. From time to time, we'll send out a letter as an eldership, just saying, according to our records, you haven't been here for the last couple of years. Well, what are our records? The Connect cards. And so if you never fill out a Connect card, we may not know that you've been there in the last 2 years. And I had a gentleman come up to me, and he slammed it down in front of me, and he said, "What is this?" And I opened it up, and I realized what it was, and it was from the elders, from the elder board. And I said, "Do you ever fill out one of those Connect cards?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, this whole thing is based on our Connect cards." And what the letter was is just saying, we haven't seen you according to our records for 2 years. Is there anything that we can do, or any way that we've hurt you that we would like to apologize to you? And so then after the service, he came up to me and he said, "All right, I'll fill it out every once in a while." And I said, that's good. We'll take every once in a while, because like Bill said, Beth's only one person, and so if she comes to the 10:30 service, she doesn't know who came to the 8 o'clock or to the 5 o'clock. And you say, well, everybody knows me. I've been here for 30 years. But we have probably 800 or 900 people who are active or semi-active here in this church. So, and on a weekend, we have almost 500. So you say, well, pastor saw me. Yes, I did. But I'm almost 50 years old. And by the time I get home, everything that happened that week, it like shuts down. So if people say to me, my cousin who lives in Arizona is having surgery tomorrow, can you pray for her? I may go, yes, I will. But by the time I get home, I will not have remembered. And it doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means that I've had probably 200 of those conversations by the end of the weekend, and I'm probably not going to remember. So what I usually say is, could you write that on your Connect card? And then on Wednesday, we will pray for all of those prayers on the Connect card. So I hope that all makes sense. There is a method to our madness. You're not invisible, and we do see you. But to try to keep track of 500 people every weekend, we're just human. Yes, sir.
We used to use a book.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that was a more effective way of doing it.
Yeah.
Because you hand it to the next person. Black
Yeah.
cards are elected.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what the reason was, if there was, because it brought
Yeah.
that change.
Yeah, and we've
We relied on them books for years, and that too was the only source
yeah.
they had.
And we've certainly talked about that. There are positives and negatives to everything that we do, and and the same thing with the book, the same thing with the Connect cards, and maybe in the years to come we need to continue to pray about that. Is there a more effective way? For the time being, we felt like the Connect cards provide the opportunity for us to get information, to get prayer requests, and to sign up for different things that we didn't have in the book. But like you said, the book is also was effective in its own way as well. All right. Okay, so if you are going to be serving on the ushers, you can stay here with Brad and Matt. Welcome Center will meet out by the Welcome Center, and greeters will meet outside door number 1.